Good morning. Today I have a lot to get done. There's a ton of work that needs to be finished. I need to perfect the short rows on my men's sweater pattern, and I need to, what else I need to do? I need to check the emails from some tech editors and some tester emails, and then I think I can work on some other open whips and patterns. So yeah, it's a busy day, but first off, we have physical therapy. I'm in pelvic floor physical therapy for anyone that hasn't been watching the podcast for a while. I have pelvic floor dysfunction. Pelvic floor is like a hammock of muscles that hold up all your lower organs and everything and keep everything working in good working order. And mine were kind of damaged by a few infections I had last year. Sorry, people keep walking by and I'm too embarrassed to be videotaping. But I had a few infections earlier, actually almost exactly a year ago, that made them kind of tense up. And I was in pain for so long that they tensed up and they haven't gone back to normal. So it causes a lot of pain. The tight muscles constrict a lot of other things in my pelvis, a lot of nerves and your urethra that goes up into your bladder, so it makes you feel like you have a UTI all the time when you don't. So it's just really, really painful. So I've been in physical therapy for 3 months almost, and yeah, it's helping a bit. So yeah, I don't know if you are out there and you have anything similar to that pain, you should get checked out for pelvic floor dysfunction, because it's super painful, but you can get treated for it with shots of either anesthetic and steroids or Botox, and then you can also get physical therapy. So anyway, I'm off to physical therapy and then it's off to work. Alright, so PT is checked off the list. It went well, and now I have maybe 7 hours until I meet my mom for our weekly date night. And I made a list of the things that I need to get done. So I need to perfect the short rows on that men's sweater. So last night I tried one version. It's alright, but I don't really like it. This is doing short rows only in ribbing all the way around, and the front looks fine, of course, but the back is just a really long stretch of ribbing. So I don't really like that, so I'm gonna try a few more different things in my swatch. And then I need to finish my swatch for my dad's sweater and that new pattern, and I need to get that washed and blocked. And so it can be hopefully dried tomorrow, so I can do the math and get started on it. And then I have tech editor emails and tester emails to reply to, and I have a couple of Vlogmas episodes to edit. So it's a busy day and only so many hours to get it done. Yeah, so it should be a pretty good day, a very busy day, more of a work heavy day than the past few days have been. The past few days have been pretty unusual for me. I'm not usually as busy with social things as I've been, but yeah, we had that party and Saturday was busy with things. I just wasn't feeling well Saturday, so that was just different. And yesterday was our anniversary and I was going to do a Vlogmas for it, but I decided at the end of the night that I just didn't want to. So I just kind of wanted that to be just our day and not for, not for views and not for anyone else. So it was our first wedding anniversary, which is really, really cool. So yeah, I stayed up late last night, so getting up for PT this morning was a little hard. But I am, when I can, when I'm knitting on something, like when I'm knitting on the short rows and I'm figuring that out, I can also watch things, and I've gotten really into learning how to illustrate lately. Johnny had an iPad for work that he doesn't use anymore, so I've kind of taken over it and started using it for work. I draw all my schematics on there and diagrams and stuff. And I have always really wanted to know how to draw, and I'm not very good at it, but I know this sounds like a plug and it's not, but I have used Skillshare on and off for the past like year, and so I just re-upped my membership for this month, and I'm watching a bunch of illustration videos. So that's what I'm doing when I'm working on short rows, is kind of learning how to do both. I can multitask and pay attention to the short rows, but also kind of learn a little bit more about illustrating. And maybe in a couple days I'll take an evening to practice. So yeah, that's an update for now. I'll definitely try and give you guys some more B-roll throughout the day. So I finished the short rows on that pattern. I finally got them to look great, so I can check that off the list and move on to other things. So I decided to keep the moss stitch on the back and the sleeves, but not on the fronts, and I just kept the fronts in ribbing because I tried doing all of it in ribbing and then switching to moss stitch when I really got past the short rows, but I don't like the way that looks. Sorry, the air just came on. I hope you can still hear me. So I tried it all in ribbing, didn't like it, ripped it out, and now I have done it in moss stitch, and it looks much better. So there's the front that you can see, then here's like the back, and I think it looks really good. So what I did is I did ribbing, and then I did a row of just plain stockinette for the sleeves and the back, but not for the fronts. The fronts I just maintained the ribbing, and so what you had to do is you had to go into the first sleeve and knit it, and then do ribbing into the front, and then turn around and start your moss stitch on that same sleeve, and then go around to the back and the other sleeve and purl it because you're on the wrong side, and then when you turn around, then you can start your moss stitch. So it took a lot of time to figure out. I've been working on these short rows on and off for weeks, and I had it charted and everything, and finally was able to figure it out. So yeah, so it finally looks good, and I can adapt the pattern, and there's not much that I need to change in the pattern. Everything but the fronts, as I have it written now, is correct. I just need to change the front parts to just maintaining ribbing, and yeah, it should be good. I'm excited. I just need to grade the yardage, and I think maybe there's a couple of tweaks that I got from my tech editor, but other than that, it's good to go, and I can hopefully get it off to testing as soon as I hear back with like a final email from her. So yay, I can check that off the list. So right now I'm going to go ahead and tweak that pattern and answer tech editor and tester emails, and then we'll be working on something new. It's a 4:45 and a lot of it's been checked off. So I did finish and figure out the short rows for that men's sweater. Thank God. That has taken so long. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've had to redo that. So that's great. And then I also answered tester emails and figured all that and answered a couple extra emails. And then I also answered my tech editor emails, which involved, going back through the patterns and fixing them based on the notes that I got back. And the one pattern, the men's pattern, took a really long time. There was like just a little bit of discrepancy between what she was getting and what I was getting. And it also depends on where you take the measurements. If you go purely based on the measurements of like the rows versus what the rows are in inches, if that makes sense. So if you were to take all the rows in the yoke plus all the rows in the body plus the ribbing at the neck and the ribbing at the body, you can end up with a tiny, tiny difference, usually like 0.25 inches, like a quarter of an inch difference than if you take, the rounded measurement of the yoke and the rounded measurement of the body, if that makes sense. It's usually that there's just like one row. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's basically like because there's a bit of rounding, then if you add the two rounded numbers together, you get a slightly different measurement than if you take all the rows and then round. So it's inconsequential pretty much because you're going to end up with the same thing. It's just the way you write it. I'm not explaining it very well. Basically, it's just a lot of work to get a tiny, tiny thing tweaked. So I had to go back and double check everything and make sure that all the measurements were good. And tomorrow I will have to grade the yardage for that pattern so I can get it out to testing. Oh my gosh. Right now I have maybe 45 minutes to edit Vlogmas from yesterday, or actually from 2 days ago. I'm 2 days behind. And then I think I'm gonna bring the swatch that I need to finish with me on my date night with my mom. I got a lot done today, which feels amazing. Yesterday was kind of a total bust. So to have had PT take up my morning and have date night tonight and still have gotten a chunk of time or a chunk of work done today is really, really great. So I'll still keep vlogging. It's not like going to be a super fascinating night, but